There are still moments when I find myself just listening to my husband's heartbeat or watching him and just making sure that he's breathing. When he became very, very sick at the end of November of 2020, there were some nights I would not sleep at all because I wanted to make sure that my husband was still breathing because he was just that sick. He had lost so much weight. He wasn't eating. And that's when it started with him not being able to actually walk on his own anymore. Just the disease that was in his body just began to take over. And to fast forward to October, October of 22, my husband was placed in a medically induced coma because he started having a seizure, right? He was seizing for probably about 2 hours or a little over 2 hours. So the cardiologist that was following him was like, paralyze him. I said, paralyze him. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. But this was right before they had intubated him. So this moment, I remember it just like it was yesterday, right? I was actually away. I left home to go do a sleep study overnight because my husband was doing well. You know, he could get around on his walker just fine. He was cooking at that time, so I made sure that he actually had food before I left for my sleep study that particular night. So once I made it to the sleep study place or the hospital, I let him know. Just try to call him. I called him a couple times. He didn't answer. So I said, okay, I'm not going to trip. So he's probably okay. He's probably just getting himself something to eat, or maybe he's going to the bathroom, or, just let me give him some time to call me back and let me not frantic, like let me not panic and be all in a frenzy about it, because it's been, like I said, it's been a journey. So as the nurse, or the person coming in, she had already put all my leads on. Those who have had a sleep study, you have to have all these leads all over your body, particularly like your face, your head. They just want to make sure they're able to monitor, I think, your brain waves and also your breathing patterns while you're sleeping, to see if you have sleep apnea. So everything was placed on me. I had already laid down in the bed. I was getting ready to go to sleep, and I received a call from my husband. So then when I looked at the call, because he called me on Messenger. He liked calling people on Messenger to do FaceTime. So I'm looking at the phone, and I'm noticing that I'm looking at our bookshelf. And I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how in the world am I looking at the bookshelf. Then I discovered that my husband was on the floor, right? And he's signaling me. He's giving me a signal saying that he can't breathe. So at that moment, I remember hanging up the call with him, paging the nurse, like I'm saying, hey, I can't do this. I can't do this. My husband, he's having an emergency. He can't breathe. I need to leave. So she let me leave. But in the midst of it, I called 911. I let them know what was going on. I guess the fire department went to our apartment, and then what they had to do was they had to contact the police department to make sure that it was okay for the door to be knocked down. And I was like, do what you have to do. Please get to my husband. The place where I was at, I was probably about, I want to say like maybe about 25 minutes away, but it felt like I was 20 hours away, speeding, trying to get home as fast as I can. And all I was thinking was like, I'm going to see my husband's body. That was the only thing that I was thinking about, was just seeing his body there, because he could not breathe. That scared me. I had to trust God between getting home from the place that I was, from the sleep center, trying to make it home and trying to keep my mind at peace, but I couldn't. I just needed to see my husband. So I remember calling my sister and talking on the phone with her, and she stayed on the phone with me, and she made sure I was calm. She waited until I got back home. By the time I had gotten home, I seen where our door was bust down, and I thank God for that, because my husband said that he had tried calling. He tried calling 911 a couple times, but they couldn't understand what he was saying because he could not breathe, right? So, once I got home, like I said, I seen that the door was busted down, so I secured the front door, and then I left out the back door. I contacted the fire department, called 911. They got me in contact with the fire department that's not far from us, and then they let me know which hospital they took him to. So I made it to the hospital. I was able to see him, and I was like, oh, okay, good. He looked good. He looked like he was in good spirits. Like everything was going well. Like I was like, okay, so he must be good, And in my mind, because I was still working, and I said, let me let me let him know, hey,